Tonight, we have the distinct covet of having with us the Rabbi Michael from Koil Hadeva Dibur in Telstone, the father-in-law of our alumnus, Yossi Einhorn, Horav Michoel Sorotzkin Shlita. Horav Sorotzkin mirrors these qualities, godless b'Torah. In the short time that I've had the opportunity to sit with him, I've been astounded at his hekif, his yedias, and his amkus b'Torah. But his anova and his eagerness to roll up his sleeves and to help out in any way, shape, or form, and to be attuned to listen and to hear what the yeshiva could use, how he could be of a benefit, is what has touched us deeply here in Tashbar. Most of all, though, it is the simcha that one comes in touch with when he meets Horav Sorotzkin. His sharp wit and his refreshing outlook have made being in his presence an enriching experience. It's my covet to call upon Rabbi Michael Sorotzkin Shlita.
I was presented as an international guest speaker. I will be happy if the 20 minutes allocated for me would be national, but on both sides of the mechitza there should be silence. I'm going to share with you a story that touched my heart immensely. During my international experience of being maspid Hagaon Rabbi Leib Steinman, Zeichet Tzadik V'Kodesh Livrocho, I came across one of the channels, a magic shear of one of the Hesder yeshivas in one of the hitnachluyot in a settlement in Yehuda v'Shamor. Now roisi, v'gam sokanti, v'lo roisi. The story which I have heard from him firsthand is unparalleled to anything was said about Rabbi Aharon Leib, in my humble opinion, ever. I would like to relate it to you here tonight. This man, his name is Zeibi, I will not get any further, as known as Zeibi, was one of 14 children brought up in the Chazonishnik house of Rechoiv Rabbi Akiva in Bnei Brak some 37 years ago. He was a Talmud in Tashbar in Bnei Brak. Got news for you, Rabbi Meir. You're not the one who have prior art to the name Tashbar. The name Tashbar is a cheder which was established by the Chazon Ish 76 years ago in Bnei Brak. And this little Zeibi was a student in the Tashbar Bnei Brak, which is a very frum, very tight program. His father is a Magid Shir in the Yeshiva Ketane. His mother is a teacher in one of the seminaries, and he failed the system. He came through Kita Aleph, Kita Beis, Kita Gimel. By 4th and 5th grade, he was already not able to cope. They moved him from cheder to cheder, from yeshiva to yeshiva. And by the time he was 14 and a half years of age, he was on the road, on the streets. His parents were devastated. Did not take more than a year and a half to find himself on the streets of Tel Aviv. He had a cousin, somebody with a kippah sruga, his mother's cousin, who kept a kesher with him. And he used to call him every now and then and speak to him and tell him what's happening in Zeibi. And he told him, I don't keep Shabbos, I don't eat kosher. He said, do something with yourself. Go study, learn math, English, something to have in your hands. He listened, he followed. He became a waiter in one of those non-kosher restaurants. And one day, he calls his cousin, and he says to him, Motzosi et shahav o nafshi, I found my zivug, a Scandinavian girl, not Jewish, and we are living together. He was devastated. He says, Zevi, you know what you're doing? He says, I know very well what I'm doing. His mother and his father heard about it, and they literally set Shiva on Zevi. Vaye'erev, 3 years later, he calls his cousin and he tells him, I just want to let you know that in July, me and my girlfriend are going to Cyprus to get married because it's illegal to marry a non-Jewish girl in Eretz Yisrael. He says, are you sure you're going to get married to her? Yes, and we want to have 3 children together. He says, do your parents know about it? He says, I couldn't care less if they do or they don't. He says, let me call your mother. He called his mother, who said Shiva on him, and he said, Zevi's going to get married to this shiktza in Chutz Laretz. His mother said, have Zevi come home for a day. He called Zeibi and he says, I think this minimal courtesy should be bestowed upon your parents. Go ahead and go to your parents, tell them all about it. He says, אין בעיה. אין שום בעיה. אני מגיע. אבל רק עם החברה שלי. I will only come if they allow me to come with my girlfriend to their house. The mother was a smart woman, and she says, go ahead, bring her over. He says, when you're coming for Shabbos, one condition, no preconditions. We are going to fierza exactly the way we do in Tel Aviv. A deal or not a deal. The mother accepted. To make a long story short, he came with his shiktza to his parents' home. Friday night, his father and his brothers are going to shul. The father davens in Kedel Chazanish, and there Zevi is sitting on the porch smoking with his girlfriend, the shiktza, in the house. The parents did not say a word. Shabbos morning, the father goes to daven. He comes home, he makes kiddush, and then he says, Zevi, אני הולך לבקר את הרב שטיינמן. אולי אתה רוצה לבוא. I'm going to visit Rabbi Leib, maybe you want to come. So he says, כל הרבנים לא מעניין אותי. הרב שטיינמן אני אלך. None of the rabbis I could care less about. Rav Shteinman, I'm going to go. And I'm going to tell you why. When I was in Kita Daled, we learned Masechta Sukkah. And we made a siyum. And the Rebbe from Tashbar took us through the siyum to Rabbi Leib's house the way they do with every kid who finishes a Masechta in Tashbar those days. He says, we came 24 children in the class. The Rebbe came and Rabbi Leib asked, what did you learn? What's the machlekes, Beishama, Besilo? Yaakov, Shmuel, Zorach, Berel, each and every one answered, beautiful. Came to Zeibi, who was Shvach. He was those days already almost out of the system. Rabbi Leib asked him, Bakasha, tell me, how do we have an esrog apostle? He started stumbling. He couldn't say it. He says, Ulai, Ulai. He says, I'll ask you another kasha. How do you have a lulav apostle? And go on, so on and so forth. 3 questions, and the boy couldn't answer. So they walked out of Rabbi Leib's house. He gave each one a waffle, a wafer. They gave a chocolate waffle. Rabbi Leib shook the hand of the kids and they walk out. And before he walks out, Rabbi Leib calls the boy and he says to the Rebbe, Bleib do. He says, you know what? I want to give you 3 waffle because you tried 3 times. He says, this story went down in my Beiner. This is the only rabbi that I remember something positive from Yiddishkeit. You're going to say good Shabbos, I'm willing, but with one condition. I want to have a bracha, I'm going to get married, she'arav yevarech oti she'ashiduch sheli yatzliach. Father was astonished. He's coming to Rabbi Leib with his son. He has shemtzach again in the gas. He's afraid to walk around the streets. This is his son is going to marry a shiksa that couldn't never have broche by Rabbi Leib. He's coming to get a blessing. They walk together. He comes to Rabbi Leib's house. He takes from his back pocket a clay yarmulke and he puts it out. Rabbi Leib sees the kid and the father. He picks up his head. Father says, my entire Sohn geht Chasna haben mit nicht jüdische Mädel. Will besorgen von der Rosh Hashiva. Rabbi Leib tells him, ooh, Atachatan, ooh, מאוד יפה, תספר לי קצת על הקלה. I would like to hear, tell me a little bit about your kala. He says, Namish, she's such a wonderful girl. Parents are Christian, but she's Scandinavian, she's Mamish, a gute Herz. ואני עכשיו הולך להתחתן בסייפרס, בקפריסין, הרב ייתן לי ברכה שיהיה זיווג של קיימו. Rabbi Leib tells him, כמה זמן אתה מכיר את האישה הזאת, את הבחורה הזאת? How long do you know for? He says, we're together for 3 years. He says, did you ever have any second thoughts that perhaps this is not the right shit? He says, honest with Yamiti, once a year I get up in the morning for 2 minutes, I think, Me'yiv, I should marry a shiktzah. I was overly miyad. Goes right, by the way, don't worry about it. It's like 30 seconds and it's gone. He says, V'kama pa'amim ze kara lecha? How many times did it happen? He says, 3 פעמים. אבל הרב לא ידאג. זה בסדר גמור, זה עובר לי מיד. Nothing to worry about. It's a moment, it's a spur of a moment, and it's gone with the wind. Rabbi Leib gets up from his chair. He kisses the Zeibi and he tells him, Rabbi Yankev, ich darf bei ihm bet na broche. He's coming to me for a broche. This boy went down to Sheol Tachtis, and 3 times he rose from the ashes. 3 times he got up, and he heard tshuva. Und noch einmal heard tshuva, noch einmal heard tshuva. Do we have a soga in the Lomas Al-Yonim? What kind of a Lomas this kid has? Sevita Selitovat, tell me brache. This kid who was totally belittled by his parents throughout. He came to the Yuta Tachtoina. He's standing by the Gadol Ador from the height of his 100 years. mit der Schichtze. What does he tell him? He bestows upon him so much love, so much care. And not only does he have to be mefuzeh, his father has to be proud of him, because this Zeibi is the one who's giving bracha to Rabbi. The man spoke. He called up his cousin. He says, Ani yatzati midati. He says, I went out of my mind to have such a hanhoga, to have somebody picking up my esteem and my tzibroch and the neshama for so many years. I'm putting the marriage on hold. 3 months later, his cousin took him to Machon Meir, which is a Mizrachish Bal Tshuva organization. And today, he's a mashpia ruchni in one of the yeshivas in one Tachliyot. You know, I have a very pleasant surprise. My good friend, Hagaon Rabbi Michael is sitting next to me. And he told me right before I started that he established an organization, a new one, and he's asking for my support. The organization is called ICOLD, International Committee Against Lange Droshes. I told him when I finish, I will write a check for his organization. I don't want to be Mike. I brought a Gemara, and I'm here to share with you a part of this Gemara. But as a respect to Rabbi Yankiv, I will try to cut my drosha short. Mr. Yankelowitz, a.k.a. Shui, we had a rehearsal at Aharon Thursday night, a conference call. And he's telling me, I said, Shui, why are you associated with Tashbar? What do you have to do with Tashbar? He said to me something which touched my heart. He says, you know why I'm here in Tashbar? You know why I send my children to Tashbar? You know why I live in Lakewood? I relocated from 5 towns? Because of one man sitting right in the back of me, Rabbi Michael Sorotzkin. I was thrilled. I didn't know what he was talking about. He says, let me share with you a story. The very first introduction of myself to the Tashbar Cheder. I come in one day during the Hafsaka, and Kita Aleph, the first grade, made some kind of a siyum. What kind of siyum could Kita Aleph make? Like, believe me, Mayor Hertz could make a siyum from everything. And he says he sees the kids dancing down the hall. And all of a sudden, on the shoulders of the very last child, he sees this Rabbi Moshe Zev dancing with so much pain, a smile, heart of gold, which is dancing with those little kids. He walked over to him and he said, perhaps, this are your Talmudim? He said, no, he's a Rebbe in 5th grade. But how could you resist such a pure dance of little Yiddish kinder, not to be so happy with it? Could you not take part of it? He says, all the mechitzas broke. He never ever saw a cheder with so much love, with so much giving, with so much caring, with so much ahava she'ino tluya b'davar, giving, in every kid. You know, love is bilateral. You can't fake. The one you can't fake the most is children. A child knows what adults is trying to cover. You're walking through the corridors of Tashbar, you see the love radiating. It's all over the place. Before I took upon myself to be a guest speaker, I said I would like to see the Moisem. I came, told me the address. I came here before the mayor came. And then I told my wife to come pick me up. She says, where is it? I said, you go down Oak Street, you see a construction zone. She says she's driving, she doesn't see any construction zone. But I do see a construction zone. I see outside a big, huge sign, Kan Bonim Banim. I'm sure it's one of Rabbi Meir's genius logos, slogans. Kan Bonim Banim. Here is a construction zone. Guys, I got news for you. You all have to take off your yeshivish hats and put on hard hats. It's construction zone. They're building here whatever they don't build anywhere else. I've been around. I'm a guest speaker in many dinners. I've seen Chadorim international, from London to Yerushalayim to New York to Florida. Such a cheder I've never ever met. It smells like a It smells from love, from care, from giving. There's 27 jams sitting up front. I'm humbled to see their presence. Each one of them is a malach. And Lamnatzeach HaManakidas Reb Meir, with his wit, with his ivrit, with his smile, with his pikres, with so much sophistication, bring about a moised which is bracht hashenkai, a beautiful moised. There are 768 students in the school. You know, at the end of the day, it's all about money. At the end of the day, the school is missing funds. And I don't think, looking and taking into consideration, such a wonderful staff should be withheld back for one moment because of any monetary difficulties or not being able to climb the Lestek Rechts to the top of the Everest. Each and every one sitting here, I know, Wisha went up, dinner, oh, here we are again. But let the Rebbeim do the job. Let them complete the construction zone and get the C of O. Kan Bonim Banim. Rabbi Meir established a sustainer program tonight. He wants to cover the deficit, and I'm telling each and every parent, I'm not talking to the men, I'm talking to the ladies as well. A little extra 9 yards walk in order to let him complete his mission. It should not be, it should be a rangiton when he knows what to do best, to expand 3 classes next to your Mitzvah Hashem and Mesifte, and so on and so forth. Let's all extend our shoulders. Kol Hashem b'koyach, Kol Hashem b'hodor. Don't be ashamed. You gave ve'yitein ve'yachzer ve'yitein. We have to let this moised grow by leaps and bounds. It's Tashbar. You know what Tashbar is? It has 2 definitions. But if you take the words, Tashbar, it could be diminishing. Tash, no koyach to part the little kids. We want